It all started when my mom met my dad, and they fell in love, and they had me. Hi, I'm Ryan, and my life, it's kind of crazy.
As the coronavirus outbreak grows in Alabama, state leaders are hoping school closures that go into effect March 19th can slow the spread.
Many schools around the world, as you know, have shut down, some for extended periods of time.
Administrators from collegiate to primary and secondary schools taking action, more each day.
The decision to close down the school districts was simple.
Seniors everywhere have had their year cut short by coronavirus. And I know the title of this video might come across as I'm saying it's not a terrible thing, but it is. This is a terrible, horrible thing. But in my case, I don't think that it was the end of the world. And if you watch to the end, I think you'll see that it very likely saved lives.
It's making life musical, hey.
In order to understand how coronavirus helped my senior year, you kind of have to understand why my senior year wasn't that great in the first place. If this is the first time you've ever watched my channel, I'm a music major and a lot of my content is related around that and marching band. In this past year, I returned to marching band after taking a year break for some health reasons and just to kind of get my life in order. I'm not saying in this that marching band was a terrible thing, it just was part of my disappointing year. Being in the $1 Million Band at the University of Alabama allowed me all kinds of cool experiences. This specific year, President Trump came to one of our games on campus and it was absolutely crazy. Whether you like him or hate him politically, there's something about an actual president coming to your college town that makes people go crazy, and it was just a wild experience.
All this security, look at that.
There's a lot of people here.
But unfortunately, the game that Trump went to was the beginning of the end for our football season. That was the LSU game, and we did end up losing that game. And you know, part of me wants to say that it was just bad calls, because there were definitely bad calls.
Stephon Diggs to the outside, and that's Randy-esque. Did he have his foot down?
But we also just played very poorly. But Bama has lost one game every single year that I went to college there. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I was like, oh, well, we still have a chance. We've made national championships having lost a game prior. That wasn't the case this year. We actually ended up losing to Auburn of all people. And that meant that we went to a bowl game instead of the national championships. Getting to go to a bowl game is a rare thing for a lot of schools. But at Alabama, our standards are very high. That's not how I wanted to end my year, by going to a bowl game. Again, I want to emphasize that marching band, I have no regrets doing it. It was fantastic. It was a fantastic experience. I just didn't get to end with a bang like I wanted to.
5 seconds later, and they kept the call. I think the refs think they're in the color guard or something, because they keep throwing flags.
The next thing that kind of made my senior year tough is I was working a part-time job all throughout this semester. Specifically in the fall semester, my hours were absolutely insane. I was in marching band, and then I was a full-time student with 8 a.m. classes. And of course, the hours at my job were from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. And you might be wondering, well, when did you sleep? For the most part, I didn't. What I would end up having to do is I would have classes, and then I would try to get home as soon as I could after marching band practice, do whatever homework I had, try to get some sleep before I had to get up and be at work at 12. Then I would leave my work, take a nap, and then be back at school at 8, and the process would continue. Lots of sleep lost because of that, and it wasn't even a difficult job. Basically, I was a desk assistant, so I just answered phone calls for people who were locked out or they needed help in some kind of way. I could have had a lot better hours than what I had. That's just what I was dealt, and I think I did a pretty good job handling it, but some days were so hard.
I'm a desk assistant at the all-girls dorm on campus, and the craziest thing that's ever happened to me was that a girl once came down complaining that when she was cleaning her room, she found a bat. She thought it was a chocolate bar, but it was a bat. So we had to call maintenance, and the man came down with the bat in his hand. And that is the story of the chocolate bar bat.
And then the next thing is, when you're in college, you have a lot of older and younger friends. That is awesome until you're a senior and all of your older friends have either left or are in the process of leaving. Specifically, 2 of my best friends graduated in that fall semester. They graduate, they go off and do their own thing, and you're kind of just left there. It's not that I didn't have other friends to hang out with. It's just that those are the people that I ate lunch with every day, and now that they're gone, It's just, what do you do? All of this brings us into the spring semester, and there's no more marching band going on. I'm still working my job, but the hours are about the same, not that much better. And along with my friends not graduating, I kind of had a lighter course load, so I didn't have a lot of things to fill my time with. And that is when Corona hit. Right before spring break, Corona caused the school to extend spring break by 2 weeks. And then during that process, we found out that, we would be online for a little bit after that period ended. Then that online classes just never ended. I'm sure that this was so difficult for some of the people who had to take those online classes. For me personally, all I had was one class that was already online and then a biology class. The rest were classes like my tuba lessons and my ensemble classes, and you just can't do those as effectively, so they kind of just got replaced with listening assignments and things like that. So all this being said, it was kind of nice because it meant that I wasn't doing a bunch of busy work for the rest of the semester like I would have been doing in some of those other classes. I just had to get in, do everything that I needed to do, and then get out. And I want to emphasize again that I'm not saying that this Corona thing is some fantastic thing that is not a problem in America and we don't need to worry about. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm even saying that it affected my senior year in some ways that are sad. I had been working all semester, all year for this senior recital. I had been playing and practicing all this music that I was ready to show off to people, but I didn't get to do that. And I didn't get my last concert with the wind ensemble, the top band in the School of Music. I didn't get to appreciate my last time performing there because I didn't think it was going to be my last time. And then of course I didn't get to have my last hangout with my friends. I didn't appreciate the fact that, hey, we're all going to move after this point. There was a last time where we hung out, but we didn't know that that was the last time. Instead, I was just back in my hometown, sitting around, doing some online courses every now and then, watching people argue on social media whether this thing was a hoax or whatever kind of nonsense they were wanting to argue about. Not even to mention the fact that I didn't get to walk in graduation. Believe it or not, my graduation because of coronavirus was not that great.
On behalf of the University of Alabama, congratulations to you, our spring class of 2020. It has been a unique final semester.
So in the beginning of this video, I mentioned that in my case, I think coronavirus might have saved lives, and I'm sure you're wondering how that could be.
At this hour, firefighters remain on the scene of what was a 3-alarm fire at the Moody Music Building on the campus of the University of Alabama.
Dozens of firefighters have been at the Moody Music Building working to put out a fire there.
Around this time yesterday, the Tuscaloosa Fire Department responded to a report of a fire alarm at the Moody Music Building.
According to the school website, 44 teachers and over 400 students are in that building in a regular basis. And one weekend, a lightning strike lit it on fire. Now, obviously, it was a weekend, so maybe we could say that no one would have gotten hurt because no one would have been there. We're people who are in that building constantly, whether to practice or it's just kind of our home. I've taken plenty of naps in that building because of my crazy sleep schedule that didn't allow me to sleep in regular times. So there's absolutely no way that there would have been no one in that building except that coronavirus made it that way. If it wasn't for the coronavirus, it very likely would have been very crowded on that Sunday night. Obviously, there's a lot of school-owned instruments that were damaged in the fire, but there would have been even more privately owned instruments. And you could even say, well, people would just leave right away as soon as they heard the alarm. But I don't know if you can 100% say that, because just speaking for myself, I had 2 instruments there at all times that are very expensive instruments, and I would have been concerned for their safety. Now, I know what the right thing to do is. Obviously, I wouldn't have brought them with me. That is extremely dangerous. I know that I wouldn't have. But it's not too hard to say that somebody is especially attached to an instrument and they go out of their way, they put themselves into danger maybe. Now, I would hate for that to happen, but it's not impossible to happen. So imagine if coronavirus didn't happen. Imagine if there were 400 students. I don't think there would be, but there could have easily been 100 students in there. And a fire's a fire. That is a scary thing. So obviously, obviously I had a tough senior year. There were things in it that made it difficult and just not as good as I wanted it to be. And sure, coronavirus came and ended it abruptly, but imagine if that School of Music fire had hurt somebody or hurt a whole group of people. It could have hurt me. I could have been in that building. That would have been a much tougher end of my senior year. Obviously, coronavirus is this awful thing that is killing so many people, and that is not what you want. Me personally, I think it helps me to look on the positive side, and that's kind of what this video is about. This corona thing is happening. It is a problem that you need to make sure you're taking steps to keep people safe. But at the same time, it could have been much worse, and that's just kind of what I'm trying to explain in this video. But make sure that we're following all the guidelines necessary and doing everything that we're told. Wear a mask, wash your hands, whatever it is they're telling us to do. This video's shout out is That Playlist Guy, and he says, "That intro, XD." Thank you for commenting. I really appreciate it. Comment down below if you want to be in my next video shout out, and I might pick you. I hope you enjoyed. This was a little take on my senior year that I think maybe you wouldn't have expected from me, but again, I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to also make sure that everybody knows, hey, stay safe out there. But that is all that I have for you. I hope you liked this video. Go make life musical, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's making